Hello everyone, and this is my review for WWE NXT Takeover Unstoppable. And where do I start with this show? It was a fun show. This was a great show to watch. You might as well just start right from the get-go. Finn Balor, Tyler Breeze, the #1 contendership match. Obviously, it was billed as a triple threat. I liked what they decided to do. They wrote off Hideo Itami in a way that you can play with it when he comes back from his rotator cuff injury months down the road. You can make it feel like, oh, Kevin Owens did it, or maybe Tyler Breeze did it, or heck, you can even go with Finn Balor having to do it at some point in time if they want to really go a heel turn aspect with them. So you have something to play with there for when he comes back. You don't have him just like in kind of limbo. Oh, it's like, oh, and he's returned now. So now he actually could have something to go along with when he comes back. The match with Finn Balor and Tyler Breeze. Man, what can you say? I like obviously the beginning portion before the match. The entrances by both of them were really, really well done. I liked how they did that. Did that whole aspect between them there. I like that, like how well they played off the whole supermodel thing from Tyler Breeze, and obviously the typical really great entrance from Finn Balor, again with his that demon body paint and everything, and how he goes with everything there. Both of those were really good and really well planned out. I liked how those entrances came. The match itself was a really good match. You kind of felt like they might have had Tyler Breeze go over in this case, because they've been kind of playing that off for a long time, that, you know, he never really got his one-on-one shot for the NXT title. So you felt like maybe, and especially since the last #1 contender was Finn Balor, you figured they would try to go in a different route with Tyler Breeze, but they decided to go with Finn Balor again here, and that's not knocking anything. The match was good. It was really good. Fun opener, good choice of a way of opening up the show to get the crowd really behind everything there. So we'll see how they decide to go with everything, with Finn Balor being the #1 contender now, and like I said, we'll just see how everything goes with that. Obviously, you have a lot of storylines that you can play off in there. Maybe they can continue on with Tyler Breeze and Finn Balor for a little while. Who knows? And the whole Hideo Itami situation, where he did get injured, you know, prior to the event, and them setting up basically storylines for him to come back and have something right off the bat. So we'll see where they go with everything there. The next match with Charlotte and Bayley versus Emma and Dana Brooke was, you know, maybe not the typical type of Divas tag team match, maybe more or less the typical kind of tag team match. It was rather well done, well paced out and everything. Dana Brooke's showing signs of improvement in the ring. She doesn't look like she's walking into everything. Like, if it looks like she's supposed to be running, she's actually running and doing things like that. So you're seeing a bit of improvement from her. Obviously, Emma playing around with her new gimmick of being more serious, or attempting to kind of mock what she was doing in the past, is kind of coming along a lot better than where it was at. The match, like I said, was a relatively good one, more or less on the typical tag team style matches that you've seen. Interesting that I thought they would have probably had Charlotte, or, you know, not Charlotte, but Emma and Dana Brooke go over in this case, but they decided to stick with Bayley and Charlotte going over in here. Maybe they're going to be playing things off a little bit, especially since you don't really have an end of a feud with Charlotte and Dana. You also don't have an end with a feud of Emma and Bayley in there, so they can still kind of play around with that here in the very near future as well. So yeah, again, we'll see where they decide to go with that one. You didn't really get a full resolution to those particular feuds here. The match with Rhino and Corbin, this was, and it's not knocking either of these guys, this was probably the I won't say the worst match, but maybe the only down point on the show. And that's not even really saying it was a full-on down point. You just had a few little mess-ups here and there. There wasn't anything overly big. They otherwise was really well done match. I like how Rhino put over Baron Corbin in this case. And maybe that's maybe that's like the whole aspect of Rhino coming in there, and that is how I felt like it was going to be. He was going to come in there and have him steamroll like over the lesser talent, and then have him face like the bigger, newer talent, and he helps put them over. And I feel like he did that really well here, and it looks like they're going in more of a heel type gimmick now for Baron Corbin in here, and it's coming off pretty good. It's not overly great yet, so we'll see if that's going to be the full-on case there. I like the aspect of them working a very long match in this one. Well, much longer than what Baron Corbin has been doing over the past times. He showed that he doesn't necessarily just full-on blow up when the matches get a little bit longer. He worked well in the offense and the defensive side. He did a very good job in his performance this time around. Not overly impressive, but really good job from Baron Corbin here, and Rhino helped him get over in this case, I feel like, as well. The tag team title match, Wesley and Blake versus Enzo Amore and Big Cass. And they did I feel like they did a really good job here. Obviously, the crowd is crazy into Enzo Amore and Big Cass and Carmella here, and I'm liking the aspect that they did. That they, at the end of the match, they had Alexa Bliss come out there instead of doing the full-on turn. So you kind of have something to play off of down the road here. And you don't necessarily have to turn Carmella heel, which it kind of looked like they were going with, especially since the fans were kind of booing her for a little while. But having Alexa Bliss come in there and help out Wesley and Blake versus having Carmella turn, I felt was probably the better way of doing things. And like I said, it kind of leaves things open down the road for them to have another tag team title shot. So we'll see how that one again, continues on. Again, you're not really getting full-on ends to storylines here. At least they're major ones that they were getting into. So we'll see where they go along with that. They definitely can do some more work in there. Maybe this will lead into Big Cass and Enzo finally getting the tag team titles, and basically giving the fans what they want at that point. They kind of want them to have those titles. So will WWE, or will they finally do that? Get to that point. We'll see how they play that storyline out, and if that's the route that they're gonna go. So this leads to the Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks match for the NXT Women's title. Again, I probably said this in the past for many of the other NXT specials. They give the women the time, and they show they can put on a fairly engaging, well-told, storied match, and you got that right here again. The two of them, they sold well. They did everything. They did everything well here. The match was a great match. Very good way of going about everything. I like the aspect that they had Sasha Banks go over. You don't necessarily have to give the title to Becky Lynch, but she showed off basically everything that she could do, and just showed off that both of them showed off the aspect of being able to tell the story in the ring about how the two of them want the title and how much it means to them to actually try to get it. And like I said, the match between the two of them came off. It was probably again one of the better women's matches that you'll see, at least produced by the WWE in a very, very long time, and they do it again here. They did a very good job with this match, and it was good to see that they decided to that they were able to do that, and they were given the time to do that. So this leads me to the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn match for the NXT title, obviously the main event of the show. I like the aspect of where they went with this. Last time they had Kevin Owens completely dominate the entire match and everything in that aspect. This time around, for the most part, they had Sami Zayn. They kind of reversed the roles here, and having Sami Zayn actually controlling most of the match until he gets hit with the powerbomb on the apron. And they did a really good job of again, telling the story of this style of match. You know, how much it meant for Sami Zayn to get his hands on Kevin Owens. Obviously, Kevin Owens just wanting to hurt people in this case again. Again, they did a really good job, and they did it in a way that you don't in the storyline. And you can actually play off of this again for maybe a third match somewhere down the road. Now, this is where the biggest problem can end up being, because now Kevin Owens has pretty much 3 storylines, and I'll get into why he has 3 storylines here in a moment if you didn't watch the show. You have a new #1 contender with Finn Balor, so you have that. And you have a potential of them keeping this thing going with him and Sami Zayn because, well, the match wasn't officially stopped. So you don't have a full-on decisive winner there, even though in the end Kevin Owens was kind of, you know, standing over top of Sami Zayn. And the third storyline, well, welcome surprise debut of Samoa Joe. And what can you say? Obviously the crowd popped big time because they've seen his Ring of Honor work, they've seen his TNA work, and and a lot of people already really like Samoa Joe. I'm glad he's going to be down in NXT for a little while because it will allow him to work with some guys and learn potential a different style with still kind of doing his normal thing and seeing some really good matches that he could get. I love the stare down with Kevin Owens. I liked how they set up everything with even with the beating that Kevin Owens was giving Sami Zayn at the time. Regal coming out and him getting rid of Kevin Owens getting rid of Regal, and then that leading into Samoa Joe's entrance to the NXT arena came off really well. The only thing, like I said, the only thing that can end out being bad here is the fact that you got 3 storylines, and which one's going to be overlooked. They kind of overlooked the whole aspect between Kevin Owens and Finn Balor the first time around. Will they do that again this time? I don't know, but one of these storylines is going to actually have to be overlooked for a time and period at this point. Now they can leave it to where, okay, Zayn's going to be out for a while, and there's rumor that the actual shoulder injury he did get could leave him out for a while. So maybe you only have the 2 storylines to work, or if that's how they're going to go, or how much they kayfabe Sami Zayn's shoulder injury that he had gotten and everything in that aspect. So you have, at least I think, what will be the main focal points for a little while. You have Balor and Owens. You also have Samoa Joe and Owens, because you're gonna have to do some kind of storyline with that kind of stare down, and you're gonna have to probably do it relatively soon as well. So we'll see where they actually go with that. I hope they don't end out overlooking a potential storyline with Kevin Owens and Finn Balor here, because obviously he deserves a good focal point because he's done really well since he's come in, and you would like to see him, you know, get a full-on, maybe like he gets the title match at one of the specials or something in that case. So we'll see where they actually go with those potential storylines. The overall show was a great show. It was fun to watch, and you know, it's interesting to see WWE actually producing shows like this in this style, and you know, showing even how much the fans in the NXT area really enjoy these type of shows. And I'm glad that they're actually producing these, and maybe they can bring this to the main roster at some point in time. Not fully. Obviously, it works in NXT. I don't think how NXT is fully run, it wouldn't go over perfectly well with everyone who watches like the main WWE programming, like Raw and SmackDown and everything like that, because that's a different broad perspective of their audience versus how people who watch NXT typically prefer to watch the wrestling. I'm probably more of an NXT fan than anything else. Obviously, Raw and SmackDown can produce good shows, and they produce good pay-per-views as of late as well. They haven't been overly They haven't been overly bad. Obviously, WrestleMania was a lot of fun to watch this year. I thought Extreme Rules was pretty good, and Payback was pretty good outside of, well, pretty much the latter half of it. But, you know, I'm glad to see them producing wrestling shows like this now. So hopefully, you know, they keep everything, you know, not like crazy and convoluted and everything like that with their storylines, and they can, you know, keep playing off of more coherent storylines where they're going with everything. And we'll see how NXT continues on. Great NXT special this time around. Highly recommended to watch. And that's my review for WWE NXT Takeover Unstoppable. And thank you guys for watching.